Welcome to African Folktales with Francis, where every story carries a heartbeat. Long ago, before the moon learned to hide behind clouds and before stories learned how to sleep inside the mouths of elders, there lay a valley where the earth was red like fire and the sky was wide like hope. This valley was called Umuora. Two hills guarded it like silent giants. Between them flowed a river called Okorie, slow and shining like a silver snake in the sun. The river did not just carry water. It carried memories. It carried anger. It carried a story of a village that had forgotten how to forgive. On the west side lived the family of Adebayo, and on the east side lived the Okorie family. Once, long ago, they were one people community until two shadows refused to touch. In Umuora, children did not learn their first words from their mothers. They learned their first warnings. Do not cross the river. Do not trust the other side. Their smiles hide knives. At night, around the fire, elders told stories not of heroes and love, but of betrayal and loss. And in these stories, hate grew roots in young hearts. On the west side lived a boy named Sadiq Adebayo. His hands were not shaped for war. They were shaped for creation. While other boys threw spears and wrestled in the dust, Sadiq sat under a wide mango tree, carving animals from fallen wood. Birds that looked ready to fly. Lions that looked ready to roar. Antelopes that looked like they could leap into the sky. His mother, Zainab, would smile softly when she saw his work. "You carve life into dead wood," she once said. "That is a gift." But his father, Chief Adebayo, did not smile. "Gentle hands do not shape the world," he said. "Strong ones shape it." Sadiq bowed his head. But inside, his heart asked a question his mouth never dared to speak. Why must strength always mean hate? Across the river lived Amara Okorie. Her voice was her power. When she sang, even the wind slowed down to listen. When she laughed, children forgot their hunger. When she cried, even the elders felt their chests grow heavy. Her grandmother, Mama Nkiru, used to say, "Your voice was borrowed from the spirits. Use it to heal, not to harm." But Amara's father, Chief Okorie, carried a heart full of old wounds. "Never trust the west side," he warned. "Their kindness is a mask." Amara nodded. But her heart was too big to stay inside a small story. One burning afternoon, Sadiq followed a wounded antelope to the river edge. The animal leaped. Sadiq stepped forward. The ground betrayed him. The river swallowed him whole. He struggled. He coughed. The sky spun above him. When he finally crawled onto the east bank, soaked and shaking, he heard laughter. Soft, curious, not cruel. "Are you trying to wash your fears away?" a voice teased. Sadiq looked up. Amara stood there, holding a clay pot, sunlight dancing in her eyes. In that moment, the river Okorie did something it had never done before. It brought two enemies together. They stared at each other like children standing at the edge of a story they were not supposed to enter. "You're Adebayo," Amara said. "You're Okorie," Sadiq replied. Silence. Then Amara did something no story of hate had prepared them for. She held out her water pot. "Drink." Sadiq drank. And with that water, he swallowed generations of anger. They began to meet beneath a tall iroko tree by the river. Sadiq brought wooden carvings. Amara brought songs. He carved her a bird. She sang him a lullaby. They spoke of dreams. "I want to travel beyond the hills," Amara said. "I want to build a school where children learn stories of peace," Sadiq said. They did not speak of families. They spoke of futures. Seasons changed. Rain fell. Flowers bloomed. Their hearts grew closer. One night, under a sky full of stars, Amara asked, "What are we?" Sadiq looked at her and said, "We are what the river tried to stop." They held hands. And the earth itself seemed to hold its breath. Love cannot hide forever. A hunter saw them laughing by the river and ran with the news. Drums of anger beat across Umuora. Fathers shouted. Mothers cried. Elders argued. Chief Adebayo and Chief Okorie stood on opposite sides of the river, their voices sharp as spears. "This ends tonight. Your son has poisoned my daughter's heart." That night, Sadiq and Amara met under the iroko tree, fear in their eyes. "They will tear us apart," Amara whispered. Sadiq held her hands tightly. "Then we stand in front of them instead of behind them." At the next village gathering, Sadiq stepped into the center of the square. His knees shook. His voice trembled. "I was taught to hate before I was taught to speak," he said. "But Amara taught me something stronger than hate." Amara stepped forward. "Our families gave us stories of war. We chose to write a story of peace." The crowd fell silent. An elderly person stood up slowly. "I remember when these families shared the same fire," she said. Before pride turned brothers into enemies. Tears flowed. Hearts softened. For the first time in years, the two chiefs walked toward each other. Their steps were slow, heavy, full of memory. They met at the river, and they shook hands. The river Oye, which once carried anger, now carried tears of forgiveness. Sadiq and Amara were married under the Irako tree. Both families came. Both sides sang. Both sides danced. The river was no longer a border. It was a blessing. And so, in Umuora, children no longer learned songs of hate. They learned the story of the boy who learned love from his enemy's daughter. A story that whispered through the trees and flowed through the river. A story that said, enemies are just family who have forgotten their way back to each other. If this story touched you, subscribe and keep African stories alive.